Hey guys, welcome to the Paint with Lovejoy website. This is the place for first-time and beginners to get comfortable with the painting process. If you have never painted, I am definitely the teacher for you. I will give you permission to play, to create with your hands, and I do consider this adult kindergarten, where you get to make memories with yourself or with loved ones. And you will notice that creative time is something that you will reference for the rest of your life. I do encourage you to send me photos of your paintings. And when you're done with my YouTube videos, please check out my Paint Your Pet course for even more in-depth and kind of my signature class. It's a lot of fun. Before we get started, I want to say thank you for being you. And I also want to give you permission to play today. I'm going to encourage that you take a lot of progress photos, and I do recommend that you turn off your distractions. Put your phone on mute. Please know that mistakes will happen. We call them happy accidents. And I'm going to encourage you to breathe throughout the painting process. Here are your recommended supplies and the colors for this particular video. This video also has a traceable, a line drawing at the beginning, and you can either purchase the traceable and transfer, or you could pause the video and draw it freehand, whichever you feel comfortable doing. Again, progress photos are important. And I'm going to encourage that you pause and play the video as much as you need and rewatch anything that you want. Now let's go ahead and get started painting. All right, guys, so take your first progress photo, and we're going to start in the background. We're going to start with the sky. So it's going to be white with a little bit of blue paint to make a light blue, and I am using the medium flat brush. Now we're going for that back kind of crazy corner. This is where the sky is, the little sliver of sky that we could see from inside the subway cave in Sedona. Now, if you have to make your shade of blue 2 or 3 times, don't stress about getting the exact same shade every time. Each time you mix it, you're taking in that information and it does get easier. I also recommend that if you're a beginner painter, apply your paint a little bit thicker so that way you can fill in the texture of the canvas. And should you happen to overlap the traceable lines, completely okay. I'm just proud of you for painting and just kind of enjoyed the process. With that being said, if you want to switch out colors, if you prefer a sunset sky compared to a light blue, please switch out colors. Now, I do want you to take a deep breath, just relax. Again, I'm proud of you for taking time out of your day to get creative. So we're going to clean that brush really good. If you want to take your another progress photo, go ahead and take that. And we're going to start moving into the mountains. So I'm still using the medium flat brush, and we're doing yellow with a little bit of green. Oh, and not the mountains, sorry. We're doing the foliage first, then we'll do the mountains. But we're taking this yellow green into the kind of the middle of the canvas, almost where the valley is with all the foliage. And here you can see I added a little bit more green to the mixture to go a little bit darker. And literally you just want to go 2 shades darker. And as I'm doing this, we're just making kind of abstract little shapes, little blobs on here. It does not have to be exact, but just having a few different shades of green in here helps us give the illusion of depth. All right, and if your shades are a little lighter or darker than mine, totally okay. And now using that direct green, which is a little bit darker. If you need to, you can mix a little bit of blue and green together like I'm doing here to go darker. Or if your green's already pretty dark, you can stick with that. So feel free to adjust based on the tools that you have at home. All right, so filling in that area, it is okay to overlap the other sections. It's okay to paint a little bit sloppy. Just kind of have fun with this. And as you can kind of see, I'm literally just kind of tapping my brush to it. The other shades of green are still wet, so it is mixing a little bit when I bring that darker color on top of it. But again, just play with this. All right, so this valley's looking good. If you do have a place that you want to make it a little bit lighter, you can grab some yellow and just kind of slap it on top of your other colors. I'm going to be doing that right here, just to kind of lighten up an area. This is completely optional. So grabbing that yellow, just wanted to kind of bring this area a little bit lighter, not a huge change, but do everything that you want to your grassy valley area now while your paint is wet before we move on to the next section. You're doing a great job. Remember to take a deep breath if you feel like you're holding your breath or a little bit nervous. All right, so good place to pause the video, take your progress photo. You're gonna clean your brush really good. We're still using that medium flat brush, and we're gonna do yellow and white mixture, and then add a tiny amount of orange to it. So here you go, just kind of using the edge of the brush, grabbing a little bit of orange, mixing it in there, just so that way it's not so yellow. And again, a tiny amount of orange will go a long way. So we're going to be working on those rock formations, kind of closer to the horizon line in the background. And this is kind of a light creamy color. Again, it was that white with a little bit of yellow and then a tiny amount of orange. Now again, totally okay to overlap the traceables. And what I want you to do is pause the video as much as you need to and observe the shape that you see. There you go. And you can see I actually grabbed a little bit of that yellow and grabbed a tiny amount of blue with it and realized that that did not work. So we're going to go a little bit darker orange with this. So sometimes that happens. And I left that part in the video just so you realize that I go through the same thing. Sometimes I put a color I shouldn't put on there, or sometimes I change my mind. So here, adding a little bit more orange to your mixture and just putting a few little dots back in that rock formation in the distance. All right, so now we're going to move into a yellow and orange mixture. You can see we're just mixing in there, starting with the yellow, adding a little bit of orange. And again, we're just going to be kind of putting it in these chunky little areas, almost like little blobs. And all I want you to do is observe the shape that you see and the general place that I put these colors and mimic that to the best of your ability. It does not have to be perfect, and it does not have to be in the exact spot or look exactly like mine on the screen. Just use this video as a guideline to just kind of get you through the painting, but feel free to change this, add things, make it your own. If you have to make your color a second or third time, don't stress about the exact same shade. I came pretty close, looks a little bit more orange, but color variations are okay. I am still using that medium flat brush, but if for any reason you need to move to a bigger or smaller brush, adjust for what you need with where you're at right now. And at any point, please feel free to take a couple of progress photos just to kind of keep the pictures in order on your phone. All right, we're doing great. Still making that mixture. Maybe add a little bit more orange. Go two shades darker than what you were just using. There should be a distinct difference, just like you can see when I applied it to the canvas. And we're just kind of going around the areas. This is a very impressionistic style painting, which is kind of nice because you can get kind of sloppy and kind of messy with it as you paint. And we're working more with just kind of these chunky colors. So again, take any stress away, get out of your head, just relax. You are an adult kindergartner right now, just painting. And again, pause the video as much as you need to, observe the shapes and then the placement of where I put it. And as you do this, you are strengthening your power of observation. All right, so here you can see I'm actually going a little bit darker. We're going to do a orange and red mixture. Start with the orange, add a tiny amount of red, and just go a little bit darker. But a small amount of red pigment goes a long way. And again, here you can just see where I'm kind of going around some of the prior colors, slightly overlapping, maybe making a new color, slapping that paint on there, just having fun. And I tell in some of my other videos, like if you do have any stress or frustration, take it out on the painting. Slap that brush on there. It's amazing how much better you feel after you create something with your hands. So that's why painting and creative outlets are so important. If you're inclined to put any of these colors somewhere I do not, trust your instincts and go right ahead and do that. And again, the amount of times that you are making this particular color, it does not have to be exact every time. Nice. This is taking shape nicely. And one of my favorite things about painting is the fact that a lot of my students don't realize it until after they've started painting, but you are a magician. You are creating this depth, this illusion of space, this 3D illusion of space on a flat 2D surface. And we're doing that based on our colors, based on the perspective. Um, and the more that you paint, the more comfortable this gets and the more fun you have with it. So now we're still with the flat brush, moving into the direct red paint, going a little bit darker. On some of your shades where you put this darker red, it may not be super obvious. And then in some areas, there may be more obvious, and that's what we call contrast. So when you put the red next to another darker color, not as much contrast, but when you put it next to the lighter colors, a bit more of a pop. All right, so still moving along. Guys are doing great. Take another progress photo if you need to. There we go. I was waiting for that little cue to pop up. And we're still going to be using the direct red paint plus purple. And same with the other mixing. Start with a small amount of purple and you can always add more. But this is a red and purple color mixture. And same thing, we're just going right around our prior colors, overlapping some of those colors, painting kind of sloppy, painting kind of messy, and just having fun. Again, excuse me. I recommend that you apply your paint a little bit thicker because I kind of in that bottom left-hand corner, you can see where I did not apply the paint thick enough, and I'm going to have to go back and reapply. Again, pause the video and just observe the shapes that you see on the screen and mimic that to the best of your ability. This is something that if you painted it multiple times, you would see your improvement from each painting to the next. So it is okay to paint this 2 or 3 times. All right, so now we're going to grab some purple, direct purple paint, going again a little bit darker and applying it right on top of some of the colors. And again, if you want to put this purple somewhere I do not, go right ahead and do that. All right, so now I need to actually go back to my orange and red and fill in some of the spaces that I did not fill in earlier. And a lot of times this does happen with painting. Sometimes you do have to go back to your prior colors. Nothing is wrong with that. So we're going back to that red and orange mixture to fill in some more areas on that left-hand side rock formation. And in a few areas, so anywhere that you can see the white canvas space on that right-hand side, just put a little dab of paint on there so that way we've gotten rid of that white canvas. There we go. And we're using that same color, going to fill in a good portion on that left-hand side. And again, if you're mixing your color multiple times, variation is a good thing. So here, moving back down to orange paint. There we go, filling in that remaining space. And we are kind of indicating that that right-hand side has more of the light hitting it to where the left-hand side's in a bit more of a shadow. So that's why we have more of the lighter colors on that right-hand side rock formation. So again, any place that you can see the white of the canvas, just slap some of your red or your orange on there, and then take your progress photo, clean your brush really good, and we're going to go back into that other rock formation. All right, so now we're going to move into some yellow orange with a tiny amount of purple for the rock formations that are in the distance. And by adding the purple and a small amount of purple, what this is doing is kind of muddying up or dirtying up our paint. Because as we look at stuff in the distance, it's usually a little bit hazier and a little more muddled. So with purple being the complement color to yellow, when you do your purple and yellow mixture, you actually get kind of a muddled, dirty color. So that is why we added a touch of purple to it. Now, when you added yours, if it's darker or more muddled than mine, totally okay. So now we're going to add a little bit of red to that same mixture. And we're going to keep moving in and making these kind of chunky little blobby spaces for that rock formation in the distance. Now I'm still using that medium flat brush, and if this is too much for you, please feel free to move down to the pointy brush. And again, totally okay for these to just be little blobs of color, slightly overlapping a prior color, but just kind of filling in that space. So here I added a little bit more yellow, a little bit more purple to make more of my mixture. And again, if it's a little lighter or darker, totally okay. You're doing a great job. You're strengthening your power of observation. Hopefully you're forgetting about the rest of the world for a little bit while you're painting and just having fun. So here I'm adding a little bit more red to the mixture yet again and filling in more of the space. So by the time you're done with this step, these one or two colors, there should be no white canvas space left on your canvas. So if you have a canvas space showing, grab one of your reds or oranges or one of these colors and just fill in that space with your color. All right, again, I added a little bit more orange. Having, again, these slight color variations just kind of helps make your painting a little bit more intriguing. So again, fill in all those spaces. There shouldn't be any white canvas space left by the time we're done. Then I'm going to have you take a break and let your painting dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll pick up around 2 after that. So take your progress photo, look at your painting from across the room about 10 to 15 feet away, take a break, notice how you feel, and I've got a Paint Your Pet ad coming up, and then we'll resume the painting process after this. So when you are done with my YouTube channel, please check out my Paint Your Pet class. This is for first-time and beginner painters, and it's a lot of fun. If you've never painted, this is great for you, and it's a great way to get into your creativity, especially after taking my YouTube videos. And it's a lot of fun when you actually paint something you love. So check out the Paint Your Pet course, check out the discount code, and keep pushing your skills. So it's a lot of fun to do it together. I do have in-person classes and an online course, so trying to get something for everybody. You are welcome to paint your favorite animal or pet, and you will impress yourself and your pet. All right, steps are super easy and logical, and we're about ready to see my favorite part. Coming up right here is the pets with their portraits. Look how proud those pets are, and look at what a great job their parents did in creating their likeness on the canvas with my steps. So if you take my class, I will ask you to send me some of those photos. So great job. Look at your painting from a distance of 10 feet away. Smile at yourself, notice how you feel, and then we're going to jump back into painting. So here we're going to be using the pointy brush and black paint. We're going to go through and do some outlines. Now this is completely optional. If you don't want to do the outlines, you do not have to. So your call what you do here. Because I teach mainly first-time and beginner painters, when we do this outline, it does help kind of clean up some of the impressionistic and sloppy style painting. And that's really kind of empowering and fun for my beginners. But as you get more and more comfortable with painting, you may want to skip this step because you actually brought your colors right up next to the other colors. So something that you will evolve with. So what we're doing here is it's that pointy brush. We are using just the last 2 millimeters of the brush and kind of treating the brush like a pencil. And we're going over all the perimeter lines and some interior lines. Basically, we're recreating that traceable. Now, if you're finding that you're nervous or your brush is shaky, exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, and that's going to help steady out your hand. You're also going to notice that you may have varying widths of lines. You may have some skinny lines, you may have some wider lines. Totally okay. Embrace wherever you're at today. The more that you do these outlines, the more that you work with the pointy brush, the more comfortable you'll get with holding it, and the more comfortable you'll get with the width of the line. So again, practice makes you more comfortable. Doesn't make you perfect, but it makes you more comfortable. So that's why I encourage my students to find monthly, if not weekly, creative outlets for yourself. That way you just keep getting more and more comfortable and kind of like compounding interest. You keep growing your skills. The more that you learn, the more comfortable you get with the process. All right, doing great. And because I make this video, I keep the painting in the same orientation, just so it's not super crazy and confusing for you guys at home. But if you want, while you're doing these outlines, if you need to turn the canvas sideways, upside down, if it's on the easel and maybe it's easier to paint flat on the table, you adjust the orientation of your painting or anything of your supplies to make your process easier. You do not have to do exactly what I do on screen. All right, and as you're working with your brush, if you do hold the brush perpendicular to the canvas at a 90-degree angle, it makes it easier to make these small lines. And again, mind your pressure as you're doing it. Remember to breathe. You're doing great. Remember to look at your painting from a distance of 5 to 10 feet away. Everything in life looks better from a distance, including artwork. So while you're painting, get out of your chair, look at it from across the room, and then go back to painting. Same when you take your progress photos. When you take your progress photo, look at it on your phone. It's the same thing as looking at your painting from 20 feet away without getting out of your chair. And again, everything looks better from a distance, so don't be upset if you like your painting more on your phone or from across the room. Perspective is just part of life. All right, so a little bit of brush maintenance. If you are finding that your brush strokes are becoming whiter and whiter, but your pressure's staying the same, sometimes that means you've got a lot of buildup of paint on your brush. So fully clean your brush, grab the black paint again, and then go back into doing your outlines. Sometimes with that buildup of paint, it makes the bristles spread apart, and that's what makes your lines a little bit wider. Also keep in mind, this is not a race. You do not have to keep up with the pace of the video, and you do not have to do this in one sitting. If you start noticing that you're getting antsy or you're not able to keep the consistency of your line, take a break, go walk around, go eat something, and then come back to your painting. You do not have to do it in just one sitting. But make sure you come back to your painting. Don't just put it away and never finish it. I've had some people do that, and I've done that myself too many times. All right, and again, if you're inclined to add some lines where I do not, go right ahead. These are just kind of breaking up the space, almost coloring book style, to where it's kind of chopping up and giving us a bit more definition on this subject matter, on this landscape. All right, good place to take a progress photo. Add anything extra that you want. If you want to add birds in the sky, if you want to put someone sitting somewhere, anything you want to do, go for it. Here, I'm going to go in with white paint, and we're going to put some highlights on. And again, I just want you to reference where I put this white paint. Again, kind of sloppy, slapping that brush on there, being pretty bold with the white paint. And then look at it again from the distance, and it's pretty cool how much this white paint makes it pop. And it makes certain things jump towards you, where our darker colors make certain things push backwards. This is, again, part of the illusion of being a painter and being an artist. All right, doing great. So we're going to go and add just a little bit more foliage in that valley and on the mountains. So I'm back to that medium flat brush. I'm doing a blue and green mixture with a little bit of purple to make it a little bit darker. So kind of, you can use your medium flat brush or your pointy brush. I'm putting some foliage on those back mountains and literally just putting little dots on there, little blobs, and that's helped giving the illusion that we have foliage on these distant mountains. Again, you can place this in areas that I do not place it. You can add more, and I do recommend applying your paint a little bit thicker for this, so that way it compensates for the brighter colors that are behind it. So again, apply that paint a little bit thicker, look at it from the distance, and if you're like, oh, I need a shadow here, go ahead and apply some of this darker color in that area. The more that you paint, the more comfortable you'll get at looking at your painting from the distance, assessing and going, oh, I want a little something right here. And that does come pretty naturally. So keep painting and you will find that process for yourself. So take your last progress photo. Great job today. Thank you for taking time out of your day and hanging out with me and getting creative. Hopefully you're a little more relaxed. I'm glad you painted. Please send me photos of what you paint. I love seeing those. You can tag me in social media or send them to me via email. And again, check out the Paint Your Pet course when you're ready to take it to the next level. And until next time, cheers.